Hello, hello. How is everybody doing? Happy Wednesday. I hope your day is off to a fabulous start. Or if you're already in the flow, hope it's going well. I'm Nana Badu. I'm an image consultant and speaker. And it's Wednesday, so you know what time it is. It's time for Live with Nana. All right, so if you are pulling up, definitely pop up in the comments. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know where you are tuning in from, because today's conversation is going to be a good one. All right. We are talking about ways that you can instantly look more credible and confident at work. So, one of the reasons why I even thought about talking about this topic about, feeling more credible, feeling more confident when it comes to the workplace is just even sharing a bit about my own experience, and how I made some really intentional choices and decisions about my style that helped amplify my clients and my coworkers' sense of confidence in me, and really helped create my own brand at work, even when I didn't know it sometimes. And then when I did know it was happening, I was like, well, okay, we're about to double down. Um, and so this was definitely something that became part of my career toolkit. And I think absolutely contributed to me having some great success, especially when it came to building relationships and connections and creating opportunities for myself. So when I was working in the corporate space, I worked in management consulting for many years. And when I first started out, I knew the basics about professionalism, right? Like, these are the basic things when someone says dress professionally, right? Or the dress code is business professional. You always go to a black suit, navy suit, gray suit, right? When it's a casual deal, you would have that navy blazer and then you'd wear it with some khakis, or, you'd have your white shirt and wear it with some gray slacks. And then don't forget that great ballet flats, right? Or you'd have that classic pointed toe pump, right? Or depending on the decade in the era, it may have been round toe, all right? But these were all the things that, communicated the very basics of professional dress. And you believe that if you showed up that way, and myself included, okay, that that is going to build complete credibility, right? That someone's going to see you and immediately know that, yep, you are a consultant, you are, you are a classic and true professional. Now, that element of dressing and having that baseline of professional dress, there's some truth in that, right? But the problem is that's not enough. That's a starting point. And that's going to build some level of credibility for you, because it's just the status quo. It's what everyone is doing within the workplace, right? And so it's basically like a uniform, right? And so everyone's prescribing to the same uniform. So that's why that element of that category and that space of professional dress looking that way, it's just a uniform, all right? But for you, as someone who wants to begin to elevate and climb within your career, right, and wants to be someone who is handpicked for new opportunities, or begins to break out of the mold of how everyone moves, so that your your senior leadership is going to say, yeah, I remember her. There was something distinct about the way that she shared that idea. It was a really great one. She did a great job managing this team. She has a really strong presence and great communication skills, etc., etc., right? There's something that has to shift when you want to be seen as even more credible than your peers, right? That status quo uniform of professional dress has to shift. It has to get elevated. All right. And so that's what I realized in my career. And I said, okay, I'm gonna make some shifts. One, because I don't want to look and dress like anybody else because I'm not anybody else. Okay. And I think that as a baseline was really important for me, understanding that how I showed up was important in my work and my delivery of my work product, but it was also a really cohesive and holistic element in terms of my professional image. And so as we're having this conversation around how to instantly build more credibility in your confidence, I want you to think more about it in that holistic space around your image as well. Okay, so let's begin to break down a few things that I think will help you be more credible and confident at work. The number one offender in my mind when it comes to things that you do when you dress that can kill your credibility, all right, that can kill it and kill your confidence, is how clothes fit. You need to upgrade your fit, okay? You need to upgrade your fit. When you have things that are too big or too small, it instantly kills your presence. It really does. Okay. So this can look like, because the reason why it kills your presence is because it just looks sloppy. All right. I'm gonna just like, we just gonna keep it a buck today. All right. We tend to keep it a buck every day. But we're just going to hit you straight. It looks sloppy. All right. It doesn't look like you're someone who puts care and thought and time into making sure that how you enter into a space is on point. So if that's how you treat yourself in your look, how much more are you going to treat the quality of the work that you put out? That is something that people think and connect dots on. All right. It might happen very consciously. You might see that in the way in which they react to you. If you are aware of how people are engaging with you and in terms of eye contact and how posture shifts, right? But that's something that translates. It translates as a sloppiness. Okay. And so we want to make sure that you're not wearing things that are too big for your size. This can definitely take place, especially when it comes to things like your pants. Wearing your pants and they're too long. All right. And I don't mean long in a way that it's chic and you're doing a slightly oversized style with your slacks and a flat. I'm not talking about that. I ain't talking about that. All right. I'm talking about something that is a suit that you invested in 10 years ago. And you're like, but I paid some good money for this suit. And so I need to wear it until all of the seams come off. But knowing you've lost weight or your body has shifted and it's too big, or you're petite and the pants are just too long. And instead of taking it to get altered or just donating it and investing in a new pair, you hang on to it. So when you wear your shoes, your pants drag, all right, or your pants, and this is universal. This is not just for women, okay? This is women, men, and everyone, all right? Like your pants are really baggy towards the bottom towards the hem of the pants, right? It's just really looking slouchy and sloppy, all right? Sorry, we just gonna keep it real today, all right? If you feel some kind of way, this is for you. All right. So you want to make sure that your clothes are not fitting too big. Your blazers, your jackets, right? The sleeves going too long, going all the way over here. And again, we're not talking about some chic Balmain moment. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about it just being oversized and really covering up your hand, or the actual width of the sleeve being too wide. okay, where you could easily pull on the garment and see that the arm, your biceps, are way smaller than what the actual shoulder is giving, okay? Or in the bodice of a jacket or blazer, right? It's just too big, okay? Or you could also be on the other side of the spectrum where things are too small, all right? Where you know that you have gained weight, all right? And you need to upgrade the fit and go up in a size so that that dress can fit well, all right? So that it's not having a bunch of puckering in the back, so that you can actually button the bust area and not have the buttons popping open. Like this might seem like simple things, but this is what I constantly see with clients, especially when I'm going through their closet and I'm having them try on pieces. And that skirt is just pulling around the booty and the hips area. And I'm like, it's too tight. Well, no, it's okay. Is it? Is it? Like, you continue to make excuses for the way that things fit. And I can understand it because you might be having a challenging time really accepting where your body is right now. But I'm going to keep it real with you. It matters and it affects your ability to have a really commanding presence in a space. All right. So these are things that are happening, and if you might not be aware of it. You really and truly might not be aware of it, or you might just be making some excuses to hold on to things because there's an emotional pull there. But you really want to separate yourself from the pieces that are ill fitting on you. It's not helping. So you holding on to that piece because you're still holding on to a version of your body that is not what it is today. Sis, it's not helping your confidence. It's really not. It's really not. It's having the opposite effect, okay? Whereas it, everyone was wearing those muted colors in some styles. Listen, the bags, the shoes, it is a constant baseline of like professional dress. And it's like, this is what it is. At some point, you're going to have to elevate beyond that if you really want to really grow in your career, Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Michelle. If something's ill-fitting, you are bound to be self-conscious and unable to truly represent your perspective. 1,000%. You don't want to be focused on, oh, is my dress hem too short, or is this too tight, or I got to make sure I sit a certain way because if I move too quick, the button is going to pop and I have a safety pin holding it together here, right? At the neckline. You don't want to be thinking about all of these things when you're in a meeting, right? That's not where your focus should go. You need to be able to be present so that you can focus on delivering your message, making sure you're hitting all of your talking points, right? That you're addressing people's questions. Like, you want to be fully present in the space. But when things don't fit right, your body language absolutely is affected. You fidget, you shift, you move, you see yourself in the mirror, you're like, oh, child. Okay, wait, like, oh, I got to make sure this is together. Why? These are the things that are killing your confidence, right? Absolutely. Sometimes you need to have an outside perspective because it can shed more light on what's happening that you're unaware of. Okay. So we want to upgrade the fit situation. All right. You got to do it, baby. All right. And the only way that you're going to begin to understand this is if you actually just go into your closet and you begin to try things on. And to Portia's point, have someone who you trust there who's going to be honest with you about how things fit. You don't need to have your best friend or someone whose style is not on point. Hello. Okay. You want to be asking this opinion and getting this perspective from someone who is their presence is crystal clear all the way there. Like, you have some admiration for them, right? When they walk into a space, you immediately see how their confidence shines, how their ability to have thought leadership is just immediately present, and people lean into them, right? Like that's what you see. So seek that individual out and earnestly ask them to give you some feedback about their dress. You might not take every single element of what they say to heart, but if this is someone whose overall image and brand is one that you admire, why not ask them for some insights, especially in the department of how things fit? You might get a gem. They might drop something on you and be like, well, listen, this is the tailor I use. Happy to pass the information along, right? So this is a space. So it's a number one offender, not having clothes fit you right. Okay. Yes, Ayana, people forget that when they aren't comfortable in what they are wearing, it truly does affect how they show up, speak, and move. Like we've all seen that person, you know, where you see them, where they might be on a panel, they might be walking into the room, they might be on a Zoom, and they're just constantly fidgeting at something. And sometimes you're just like, oh yes, sis, you're fidgeting because the way you're sitting, the jacket, it's just too tight. It's just too tight. You just really need to unbutton the whole thing because it's not staying. You keep trying to button it again, but it's popping out. And that becomes a distraction, right? Like visually, it's a distraction. And that's something that subconsciously then your audience is thinking about that. Right. So be mindful that all these things are happening, and how you're dressing is a direct, it directly impacts this. So, well, say what it say what it is. Okay. Portia said she was downtown yesterday and saw the same look on 95% of the women walking around. Completely, in a sea of everyone of uniforms. Like, why? As a leader, especially a woman in leadership, and you're building credibility and confidence, you got to go beyond the worker bee uniform. Okay. The worker bees wear the uniforms. Okay. You want to be the one delegating to them. You want to be the one managing the team of those folks. Right. But if you subscribe to the uniform, okay, you're going to look nice, incredible, and confident. And you're also going to look like you should be on the assembly line, right? Like you're not going to be looking like senior leadership level material. But no, let me get down. Let me stay on track with my notes, okay? So the next thing that you want to do to look more credible and confident at work is you want to begin building your signature style. All right. This is something that I did when I was in the corporate space, and I started building my signature style. And people noticed, all right? People would always connect color and statement jewelry pieces with me. That's just what it was, right? And that was part of who I am, right? That's where the authenticity piece comes in with signature style, right? Like, that's my energy, right? That's who I am. Coming to the space, I'm going to bring light. We're going to be popping off. We're going to have good energy. We're going to be building some rapport. We're going to do some team building. It's going to be a fresh new idea. It's not going to be just like everybody else, right? So that's my energy, and that's part of what my signature style is about. What is it for you? You need to understand what that is, because this is a way of communicating more about who you are. And it's happening on a nonverbal level. It's very instant, it's very visual, and it's happening, especially when you talk about those first impressions, seconds, all right? It's very instantaneous. So you want to start thinking about what are the elements of a signature style that I want to embody. And the reason why you want to start thinking about your signature style is kind of twofold. One is the space of consistency. When you have a signature style, this allows people to see you, and it creates a habit. All right. It creates a habit of how you show up, and it's the same way. And that builds credibility, All right. That builds dependability. People are like, you are consistent in how you show up. I know that when I see you, it's always going to be, a well put together look. I know that, you're going to have some really dope nails. You might have a cool lip color popping, cool glasses. Maybe maybe you're a girl with the neutrals. Maybe you're like the neutrals play is always going to be on point. Like maybe there's an element of luxury that you love in your style. So there's always going to be, we're going to get a Bottega moment. We might get a Prada look. Whatever it is for you in your signature style. When you begin to understand what it is and you show up with it all the time, that consistency adds to your credibility. And it 100% builds your confidence because people notice and people are going to start saying something about it. They're going to start commenting on how you show up. And you're instantly going to be like, thank you. Okay. I've been putting in this work. All right. Making sure that my closet is together, making sure that I'm paying attention to what I'm putting on together every day. And now people are taking notice, right? So be mindful that this is working. This is working behind the scenes, and it can work in your favor or not in your favor. Okay? Yes. That fit makes a huge difference. Yes, I love this. Dr. Michelle, right? Your fashion hair all impacts your authentic appearance because believe you me, right? Folks are watching. Folks are watching, okay? People are always watching and they don't always speak and tell you what they observe, but they see it. And one of the biggest things is, and this is why I really think this is so important, is that key decisions about what happens in your career happen when you're not in the room, right? It happens when you're not in the room, when they're making decisions about who's going to be partnered, when they are talking about salary increases, when you've applied for the job, you've gone on the interview, you've put your best foot forward, and then you leave, and then they talk about you, right? They talk about you, right? What are they going to be saying? Right? What is it about the way in which you presented yourself and how you showed up in that space for a limited period of time or over a long stretch of time, right? That has them, what are the things that are memorable? What are the things that has them saying things about you that are like, yes, this is aligned with exactly who I am and what I can contribute to this role, or why I deserve this 30% bump in pay, right? Like these are the elements that are happening. So if this is happening when you're not in the space, how are you guaranteeing that what people are saying about you speaks to the totality of who you are in a really strong way that demonstrates your credibility and your confidence? When you have a signature style, it's able to help you tell that story. It helps support your overall narrative, all right? And that's something that you're building up over time, especially as a leader, or especially as someone who's seeking management, senior leader, or executive level positions. You will not get them if your image is not translating confidence, conviction, credibility. You won't get it. It's going to be something that's a point of conversation. Well, I don't know if I trust her to be in this space because, oh yeah, I don't know, just like her clothes, like people are gonna say it. People are gonna say, they're gonna talk about it. Yeah, she's just always ill-fitting, like things are a little too tight. I don't know. Now listen, I know y'all saw the videos running around TikTok. I don't even be on TikTok like that. Teachers rolling up in school settings looking like they going to the club. Credibility shot. Like, not the place and time to be wearing. One of my friends used to call it hoe fabric. I'm sorry, it just came to my mind. But that's not the time. For all my folks who remember Rainbow, Ayana, Portia, I know y'all remember Rainbow, right? That's not what? What we doing? It's not time for the bodycon dresses where you're supposed to be a teacher, imparting wisdom and being a really important figure for young folk. No, that's not it. That's not the space. Okay, it's killing your credibility. All right, now you might think you're cute, and since you might be cute, all right, but too short and too tight, dead it in the workplace. Dead it in the workplace. All right. Okay, let's stop. Let's go back to the other one. Girl, I don't know if Rainbow's still around. I hope not. All right, but this is the thing. You got to start to understand this, and and let me speak to my young people who might be tuning in. I'm gonna just keep it a buck with you. Like, it's not helping you get to the levels that you want to within your career. It's just not. Yes, Rainbow, Rave, Wet Seal. Oh, pay homage, moment of silence. Okay. Yes, those are all great stories if you are going to the club. All right. If it's Friday night, you're about to hit it with your girls, go there, live your best life. Come Monday morning, pack those baby up, move it to the back of the closet. All right. Okay. We need the hem lengths to go down a little bit. We need some lining. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm done with y'all. I'm done. Okay, let me get on track. So, building that signature style, right? And really knowing what are the pieces, the clothing, the accessories that are really going to be the things that stand out, because your signature style, you want to fill them with things that are conversation starters, right? The things that people are going to speak to because you are constantly wearing them over a period of time and building it. All right. People observe and people see. And let me tell you, it doesn't matter what your signature style looks like. But I guarantee your quality of the pieces you wear, the fit, and the way that you holistically understand to create a look, that is something that people remember, and they see it over time that you are always in the pocket with it, like every single time they see you. That consistency changed the game for me in my career. People were like, "You always," and I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, why not?" Like, I'm rolling up in this space and like I want people to leave the room and remember, like, yes, Nana was on point. Like, absolutely, she needs to be the one that we send to meet with this client. Or you know what? Yeah, she's definitely ready for the promotion. Yeah, you daggone right I am, right? Because as people like to say, I'm dressing the part, But sometimes I don't even dressing for the role. You don't necessarily need to always think about it like that. Like, dress for the highest level of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you see and envision for you when you're stepping into the space? Like, dress for that, right? Dress for those moments, right? What's the energy that you want to have in the space? Right? Like, create that. That's how the signature style and the authentic element can come into play. Because we already established we ain't about that just cookie cutter uniform stuff. Okay? That's right. You ain't gonna catch me slipping. All right. So, last but not least, I need you all to be thinking about the details in your looks. The details. This is where people get caught slipping. All right. Showing up looking wow at work. All right. The details, you miss them. All right. You miss them. And again, these might seem like things that you're just like, it's so common sense. But common sense ain't common. Okay. And sometimes people need a little bit of help. And sometimes people are just genuinely unaware and they might be putting their best foot forward, or you might just be in a rut, right? You just might be in a space where you're just like, you know what? I know I've let go a little bit and I got to get it back on track. So when we talk about the details of a look, this is when you leave things out like your beauty, like you are not actively styling your hair, you're not taking care of your skin, you are not putting on a little bit of that makeup or doing a full beat if that is your vibe, right? You're not taking care of your nail care, okay? Like, you are missing those key pieces and elements, all right? You are really missing out on the beauty piece. And and sometimes too, you just might not know how to do your own makeup. Sis, you need to roll up to a counter at Nordstrom, Macy's, Saks, and sit out Mac. Say, listen, I need a lesson, and get the lesson. Okay? But it doesn't help you if you are not putting effort into these spaces that are really the key details that allow you to feel really confident about the totality of your look. All right? You might be leaving out key accessories, right? You focus on your clothes, you're like, I'm cool. And then you ain't got no earrings on, no necklace, no jewelry, no nothing. You're just out here looking like a blank canvas. Why? Why? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. you know, these are the details. These are the details. These are refined things that make the piece, make it look like art. Okay, make it something you want to talk about, right? Make it something interesting, right? Don't leave these elements out. All right. And another key piece when it comes to the details, it's not just in the outfit, right? Your accessories and your beauty are key elements of details that you can often miss. But this also comes in the spaces of your hygiene. Yep, we go on there, we talking about it. Okay. This goes into your cleanliness. How are your clothing pieces? Like, are you ironing in the morning? I can't tell you how many times I see wrinkle defenders. I mean, just like, bruh, take the extra 5 minutes. Matter of fact, if you know you're that person in the morning who struggles, get your stuff ready in the evening. Like, come on now. Like, we got to rise to a different occasion. Okay, so get out of the wrinkle zone. All right, like if you got those great white shirts, can't tell you the armpit stains, stains on the pants. Like these are details. These are the details, hygiene details. All right, like you might have something going on, body odor, body scent. That might be a space that you need to really put in some intentional energy. All right, and spend some time. What kind of bodies, what kind of soaps, body washes, fragrances, what can you incorporate to make sure that these details these are the things that, again, that people remember and that people talk about. And you don't want to be in a space and people are talking about, how your scent was in a room, but they ain't saying the good things. They ain't saying you was giving Rihanna. You know what I'm saying? They ain't saying that. They saying something else, right? Like, you just don't want that. That kills your credibility. Okay? It does. All right? Left wrinkle clothes, rough and dry. Rough and dry. Just stop with the rough and dry. Okay? Like, take the extra time to make sure that your hygiene, that your grooming, that these things are in place, that you are actually being intentional and giving some time and space to them. All right. It's super important because I tell you, we talked about it at the top. All of these things impact you, and it shows in your posture. It shows in the way that you speak. It comes through so much in verbal and nonverbal cues. And I think oftentimes you're not aware, or you don't think that it has as much of an impact or influence as it does. So listen, these are just a few things that I think can help you begin to feel more credible and confident in your overall appearance when it comes to entering the workplace. And really, again, for my folks who are really going for leadership positions, like, these are important elements around building that personal brand, building that image that are really going to support your overall presence, so that you have already demonstrated that you're already that girl. You are already that person who embodies that leadership presence, because you do. So let's allow people to see it on you visually and then continue to be introduced to it from the work product to the conversations to the interviews to the meetings, etc. Let it holistically make sense. All right. So if you need help in this department, you are in luck, good friends. All right. Because I am accepting new clients for the fall into the Style Elevation Experience, which is my premium service for women in leadership. And so if you know that credibility and confidence is something that has been taking a hit with your wardrobe, this could be an amazing signature experience for you to help you create your signature style and to just get out of that space of uncertainty when it comes into your wardrobe and step fully into the boss woman that you are. Okay. So I'm going to drop a link in the comments. If there's something you need help with, send me a DM and we can talk more about it. All right, y'all. Thank you. A shout out to Portia and Ayana and Dr. Michelle, because the giggles in the comments had me going. I appreciate y'all. All right, I'll see y'all next Wednesday. Bye.